Hello my crafty peeps, it's Cheyenne from ecdesignstudios.com. Today it's a Tips and Techniques Tuesday and we're going to be working with the new watercolor pencils from Stampin Up. I'm going to show you different ways that you can use them so that you're not intimidated by them and you can actually have like good results because you're using them the way they were intended to be used. So I've got the set of watercolor pencils, I've got a blender pen, an aqua painter, clear wink of Stella. I've got a sheet of shimmery white cardstock and a couple sheets of watercolor paper. You're going to be blending these. There's going to be liquid on the paper, so you are going to want to do more of a watercolor paper or the shimmery white because they can actually accept the extra liquid. You can use regular cardstock, but just know that you can't work with it and blend it as much because it'll actually start to like pill the paper, and that's not good. So alright, let's start out with our watercolor paper. Now, first step, it's really easy. We're just going to do a wash of color. So let's start off with, let's do an ombre. So we've got Pacific Point, and I'm just going to color along. Now the more you lay down, the darker it's going to be. So if you want like a really light pastel-y subtle look, don't put a whole lot down. If you want it to be a little bit more intense, lay down some more color. I am wanting it to be a little bit more intense up here at the top, so I'm just going to get a good layer of that going, and I'm just going to fade it out a little bit because I do want it to fade into the next color. So next color is Bermuda Bay, and I'm just going to start out light, and then I'm going to go in, overlap the two. You could do this with just one color, like just do Bermuda Bay all over. You can vary how much you're laying down all through it, Have fun with it, experiment. And I think I just want maybe a little bit of, see, this is the Daffodil Delight at the bottom, just to brighten it up a bit. Now, yellows do tend to be pretty translucent. They're never really like a full opaque, so keep that in mind. Alright, so this is what we got so far. Nothing like too fantastic, really. So let's get our aqua painter. We're going to prime it. I always, I squeeze it a little bit, and you can start to kind of see the water as it's filling up, and then the brush tip is wet. So get that good. Now I'm going to start from the yellow and work up. Just like, you work from your lighter to your darker. And I'm just going to make sure I've got enough water going all the way up. And look at that just kind of melt together and create just that lovely watercolor effect. I'm just going to go over it another. So I've cleaned off my brush in between because I don't want this yellow down here to get too contaminated. So there we go. Now we've got a nice watercolor background. Let it dry, and then you can have fun, like use some archival to stamp on it. Wouldn't some of like the beachy stamps work really well with this technique? Because you just got that nice soft wash of color. Alright, we're going to set that aside, and by the end of the video it might be dry. Alright, so let's get out our another sheet of our watercolor paper, and we are going to, again, just like do washes of color, because this is, I think, a big thing. Like, you can really have fun with this. So I'm just going to start scribbling colors. This is the real red. So let's make this kind of bright. Alright, now I'm going to take some of the Melon Mambo and lay down some colors. It's going to look a hot mess at first, but that's alright. I'm going to get some rich raspberry going on in here. I'm liking the warm colors for this. So here is pumpkin pie. Pumpkin pie. Is anyone else sad that, you know, the holidays are over and we don't have an excuse to like really eat all of that rich food? Here's some Daffodil Delight. Again, just laying down the colors, and I think I want this center. I'm gonna add some more Melon Mambo. So yeah, nothing too wonderful there. So now I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. There we go. Now this one, it's almost done for, so I'm hoping that I have enough to do this. So you can actually use your Wink of Stella to blend it out. All right, I need to get some water going into this, so I'll be right back. Occurred to me that many of you might not know how to do this. So all right, we've got our brush, it screws on, so just going to pop that off. And then you've got this little rubber stopper, so you're just going to pop that off, and I find, like, you know, just a little strong pointy tool is enough. And then you have, you know, an open well, so you can also reuse your empty Wink of Stellas for other things. I'm just going to add some water in it just to get a little bit more life out of this. Alright, added my water. I'm going to put the lid back on, give it a good shaky. Now, you could add alcohol to this too if you're worried about like dry time. You know, I just want the water. I'm working on watercolor paper, it's okay. So I'm going to get that going, and maybe, there we go. Oh, that was a good splotch. Getting some good splotchies. So this is going to give a nice shimmer to the paper. Okay. Maybe I shouldn't have done this with a Wink of Stella that was almost empty. Alright, so I've got some shimmer down. Now let's go in with just the watercolor, aqua painter, our water brush. We're going to get that moving around a little bit more, but we're going to have some wonderful shimmer going on here, because there was a lot of shimmer that ended up coming out of that Wink of Stella. There you go, you've got a nice little shimmery, well, lots of shimmer, because I think any of that glitter that was still stuck in my Wink of Stella, it is now on the paper. But you can see how, like, you can really get like that nice shimmery blended look. So it is, you know, the Wink of Stella is liquid. You can get, you know, that blending with some shimmer. So to compare the two, the non-shimmer and shimmer. Again, these are just examples, you know. Go with what you're wanting. All right, now we're going to do the blender pen. So I've got some shimmery white cardstock. I went ahead and stamped some images from the Carousel Birthday, which is from the Occasions 2017 catalog. So we've got the carousel and the Because Spoiling You is So Much Fun. So I went ahead, stamped that with the basic black archival. You want an ink that is not water soluble. You don't want it to bleed into it, so make sure it's like an archival quality ink. So again, I stamped it, it's dry, it's set. So now we're just going to color, and that is kind of the hardest part. You can go ahead and like lay in some shading too while you're coloring. You know, I should probably bring you in a little tighter so that you can, you know, see a little bit better. So I'm doing a little bit, you know, darker. I'm laying in more color where there would be a shadow. I'm not going to go too crazy with this, because I'm sure, you know, watching somebody else color, it's all fine and well, but eventually you get bored, and I can understand that. Alright, so I did some quick coloring. Now let's pull over our blender pen. You can see, like, you don't have to be like too precise with this at all, because you're going to blend it out. So just take your blender pen, use it just as you would with anything else. I'm going to pull it along. You're just getting that color wet and moving it around. You're melting the pencil into a more paint-like form. Okay, so that is it all colored. Again, I did this really fast. You can take as much time, but you can see how it, it's smoothed out the pencil. And now for our last little thing, we're going to actually do like a little watercolor wash behind this little sentiment. So I'm just going to quickly lay down some colors. So we've got Daffodil Delight and Melon Mambo. And then I'm going to take my blender pen again, and we're just going to activate that watercolor pencil. Okay, so there we have that. And let me zoom you out. Zoom you out. Alright, so here are the watercolor projects. Now I do have to say, my favorite is the watercolor pencil on watercolor paper with the aqua painter. For coloring though, I do like the shimmery white, because it's a smooth surface. Watercolor paper has, some bumps to it, so you can stamp your images, color them, and then using the blender pen. That's my favorite. And I think I would like the Wink of Stella better if it's being used to color in an image. For washes of color, I like the aqua painter to give the wash of color. The blender pen, it's okay, but it's easier with the aqua painter. I'll have to try once I get my new Wink of Stella, see if that makes any sort of difference, like in actual, like whatever it is that they have, the magic glittery fairy liquid that is in the Wink of Stella, if that makes a difference for this. But I do like how it blended and added a shimmer, but I just think I'm going to like it better coloring in images instead. So now I'm going to take and show you a couple different ways that you can use this stuff. So I'm going to actually die cut these out real quick, and I'll be right back. Okay, so with all the things that I had used the watercolor pencils on and a couple additional items, I made these two cards. So, alright, this one I ended up cutting down the card, put it on a piece of very vanilla cardstock, corner around the open ends. We've got a starfish from the Picture Perfect set. Love this set. It's fantastic. And the Just a Note is from this set too. The tag here is from the Project Life, I believe it's Cards and Labels, a delicate doily, some dimensionals, and some pearl accents, and nice, quick, simple card. I did distress the edges of the watercolor paper because I love that look with watercolor paper. So it's a nice little beachy, summery card that you can send out. This one, I ended up cutting down the background that we used the Wink of Stella on. I, again, distressed the edges, again, a piece of very vanilla cardstock. I quarter punched the top two corners, because sometimes that's all you need to add that little extra something. This is a single lace doily from the New Occasions catalog. I cut it in half, just kind of tucked it in behind to give a little more something something. I used the Stitched Shapes framelits. This is the largest oval to pop out the carousel horse. I used the Tags and Labels, I believe it's called, the framelit sets. I used the largest one to cut out a piece of Whisper White, and the second largest one, to cut out my sentiment, I added a little black faux stitching around it to kind of ground it, and I did ink the edges of this with Rich Razzleberry and popped it up on some dimensionals, and that's all there was to that. You could totally like add more to this. I'm kind of thinking I want to add like a rhinestone or a pearl or something, you know, around. But, you know, I'll save that, see who it's going to. And on this one, just a note, it's inked with Pacific Point. So that's it. There's some projects that you can do and everything. So this is mostly just to show you different ways that you could use the watercolor pencils and get you acquainted with that so that you can love them as much as I do. I'm really liking these cards. I think like this one the most. It's pretty awesome. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please remember to like and subscribe. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for coming back and visiting my channel. All of the products that I used and the dimensions, well, maybe not the dimensions for the cards and everything, because that was just like a quick little, you know, show so that you can see how you can use these things. Those will be on my blog, and I have the link to the specific blog post in the description bar below. There's also links to my Stampin' Up shopping page, Shop With Me 24/7, and it's celebration time. So for every $50 you spend, you get to pick an item from the celebration brochure. That's running through March 31st of 2017. So get your free products because they're wonderful. They're glorious. All right, I believe that is it for today. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.